He also favors building a waterfront stadium and arena to revitalize San Diego. Manchester's paper supports those positions, but liberals complain at a sports writer who disagreed was canned. Some public agencies have been investigated journalistically, and that some of Manchester's associates have gotten favorable profiles. But the oddest part, says the Times, is that Manchester and Chief Executive John Lynch are completely open about their motives. Lynch says his newspaper is now pro-conservative, pro-business, pro-military. Now you understand why papers like the Times and the sycophant liberals who still read them are worried. They're circling the drain by failing to adapt to a media environment that no longer belongs exclusively to liberals. And the sum of their greatest fears is imagining their own rag one day being bought by unapologetic conservatives. Now, if you owned a liberal rag, you would be worried too, and you should be.
Here's a startling fact. If you don't have a will, the government and courts decide what happens to your property when you pass away. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? In honor of National Make-A-Will Month, LegalZoom.com wants to give you a special discount to help make sure you're legally protected. In the past 12 years, over 2 million Americans have used LegalZoom for last wills, living trusts, and more. And they've saved hundreds, even thousands of dollars versus a traditional lawyer. With LegalZoom, you get individualized services tailored to the laws of your state. The online process guides you step by step, and you get total customer support. So protect your family and assets today with a LegalZoom will. Or get a living trust this month at LegalZoom and get a personalized pour-over will for free. Visit LegalZoom.com today and enter PROTECT in the referral box at checkout for special savings. LegalZoom is not a law firm, and self-help services are at your specific direction. Individualized advice is provided through a legal plan available in most states.
Live from Progressive.
It's time for Tips from Flo.
Tips from Flo.
Here's a tip about our loyalty program.
Loyalty program.
The savings don't stop when you switch. You're automatically enrolled on day one, and you keep earning great discounts and benefits. And it's free.
It's free.
Are you just repeating everything I say?
Kinda.
Rewarding loyalty. Now that's Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and its affiliates, Mayfield Village, Ohio. Cumulative benefits are limited, not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Here's your 58 WCHS AccuWeather forecast. More clouds and sun today with a couple of showers and strong thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon and evening, getting up to near 80. Then clouds breaking tonight, the low down to 62. Turning out partly sunny tomorrow and comfortable, the high 80. Mostly sunny and nice on Sunday, the high getting up to 82. And it looks like this comfortable weather will continue into Monday of next week. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Dean DeVore on 58 WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management of 58 WCHS or of West Virginia Radio Corporation.
Well, good morning. It is Ask the Expert. I'm Mike Agnello. Your guest today, your host today, the one that knows all about the things you need to know about, Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center out of Hurricane. And welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike, and good morning, everyone.
Well, you know, I tell you what, I'm going to have to just right off the bat, and we'll give out the number in just a minute, but, you know, I've got to tell you, Dr. Jeannie K., it was my day of discovery the first time I hosted your program last time and now this time, but it was a real day of discovery. Of course, I know you talk about many issues, but certainly sleep apnea and TMJ disorders, but I've got to tell you, I was never so shocked when you told me that this, especially sleep disorder, which is pretty, prominent in our society. I think I could raise my right hand and say, "Hey, you're picking me here." But 20% of all adults in the United States are affected, and 80% don't know it and don't attribute, some of the things that are wrong in their health profile with sleep disorder.
That's the current statistics now that shows that, roughly 80 to 90 million Americans, they don't even know that they have it.
And, maybe it's because these things that are kind of happening to them, they don't attribute to it. Anyway, I'm here with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey. This is Mike Agnello on WCHS. It's Ask the Expert, and you know the routine. You get to call in and get free advice, no charge. There will be no bill sent to you in the mail. We don't have caller ID, so this is kind of a free event for you, and really to maybe get some real important questions answered for your life. It's 304-345-5858. Well, maybe just to recap, Dr. Jeannie K, is what is sleep apnea?
Well, sleep apnea is where you just stop breathing. When you go to sleep, the back of your throat just relaxes so much, the tongue falls back, and that's obstructive sleep apnea. There's different types, but that's the one that it just blocks off the airway. Nothing goes in, very little comes out.
And, of course, then that kind of goes right into snoring, possibly, as one of the symptoms?
Yes, snoring is a symptom. Either people get very quiet because obviously they're not breathing, or make the funny snore gurgle noise where they're trying.
Yeah, and when you say you just stop breathing, I mean, I hope people are kind of understanding this isn't just, this can be a serious disorder. I know there's probably many levels of sleep apnea, but, can this really be life-threatening?
Oh, it's major life-threatening. In dentistry, and I've been a general dentist, and, I have special interest in this. I can't say I'm a specialist, folks, but I have special interest in sleep apnea and TMJ. But when people have decay or inflammation or pus, that's one thing as a general dentist. But when I look at people and I see that they stop breathing, that's life-threatening. No oxygen. Cells die in the body with no oxygen.
So, as this malady, this disease progresses, you might not know you have it. So in a sense, you're incurring damage every day it's not treated, basically.
Absolutely. Cells die. If you have no oxygen, see how long you can hold your breath comfortably. And if you're driving, please be careful with that. But, when you hold your breath.
Don't do that right now if you're driving. That's a good idea.
But, if you hold your breath for 20 seconds, that's kind of a long time. But some of my patients, they go over a minute while they're asleep with no breath movement at all.
That's just incredible to me. That's happening. And that's happened, again, quite frequently. And what are some of the effects of, people that don't attribute this to their sleep disorder? What kind of symptomatic things can be happening to that person where they're saying, I feel that this is happening to me, I don't feel good, or this is happening, but they're not attributing it to sleep apnea?
Well, the things that happen is they're disturbing their bed partners. That's one of the main complaints, and that's how they find out they have it, because actually some of these people never know they have it until the bed partner said, I always talk to the spouse, I have to push him, I have to roll him over, I have to make him start breathing again. So that's one of the side effects, and very often people, they snore in a very funny way. They gasp. And then if you wake up with a headache, you have red flags flying everywhere. I treat a lot of TMJ patients or TMJ dysfunction, and they'll come to me and say, I have a headache. And I'll say, well, do you wake up in the morning with a headache? And if they do, then it's real important for me to realize that, is it a pain, or is it sleep apnea or obstructive breathing or something else going on?
I'm here with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey. This is a good time to get those questions answered. If you're hearing this and some of this is hitting home, you can call, and guess what? Free advice. At least get started on a little self-analysis and find out what's going on in your life. 304-345-5858. That's 304-345-5858. Also, what about, I know we're folding a lot of things in, but I guess they are related, grinding of the teeth. Does that have anything or similarity involved in this malady?
It has a lot to do with sleep apnea and TMD. When the bite's out of balance, we're meant to come together in a certain place. You will grind your teeth. And I always tell my patients, if you can't find it, you're going to grind it. So you need that one magic sweet spot, like on the tennis racket. It's the sweet spot your teeth come together. And if you have sleep apnea or breathing disorder, you will grind your teeth in an attempt to open up the back of the throat and let some air go in. So anyone who grinds their teeth, I'm always checking, do they have a more serious condition?
I'm here with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, and certainly taking your calls at 345-5858. Well, I know when people hear these things, they're going, especially if they're living alone, I wonder if that's me. I wonder if that's some of the things that I'm suffering. You just said something I thought was, to me, because it has happened to me, to be honest, waking up with a headache. That's very indicative of possibly sleep apnea.
And if you're not getting your oxygen and all that carbon dioxide builds up, then you wake up with a headache. Or you can notice other things too. Like if you live alone and you really wonder if something's going on, if you've had a weight gain, or you have memory loss, or you wake up choking, or you're frequently ill, you're depressed, frequent urination. Those are all your warning signs if you do live alone and wonder, well, this could it be me or not? Look at those symptoms.
304-345-5858, and we will go to the phones. And Tim, good morning, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Dr. Bailey a question on, if you're on a CPAP machine now at sit, but you've been told you have severe obstructive apnea, will the oral device work? Because I've been told by several providers, don't do the oral.
Well, Tim, let me give you an example. I have a patient, and if he's out there listening, he should call in and give you a little pointer on this. We made an oral appliance. He's very severe. He came to me for headaches instead of sleep apnea. And when I found he had sleep apnea, I made him an oral appliance, and he went from the severe category down to very low, mild. So it's opening up the airway in a beautiful way in the majority of patients. Now, some patients it does not work for this mouthpiece, but that's a small percentage, about 20%. I cannot get the fat tongue out of the way. But it works very well with CPAPs, because then you can turn the pressure down. And in this fellow's case, he will not probably even have to wear a CPAP.
And how do you work with the CPAP? Because right now the insurances are so difficult to deal with CPAP. How do you get the appliance covered too, or do you?
Every insurance in America covers the oral appliance in some form or another, with the exception of one, and that's our state insurance program. They do not cover oral appliance with PEIA, but every other insurance, including Medicare, does have some form of reimbursement because they see the necessity to help people.
Yeah, but they'll cover either the appliance or they'll cover the CPAP.
Well, we do combination, Tim. You can do both, and they cover both.
Okay, so you're getting both of them covered, because when I inquired before, it's been a couple of years, they said no, they would cover one or the other, kind of like contacts or glasses.
Well, in some cases, we really have to take up the task and battle them, for lack of a better term, but they will cover it. I've yet to have one not cover a combination therapy.
Okay. Well, thank you for the information.
And Tim, I don't know if you have something to write with, but if you wanted to call Dr. Jeannie K at her office, it's 7.
I have her number.
Okay, well, I'll just give it out for everybody else. It's 757-7428. That's 304-757-7428. Well, Tim, I hope that helped you this morning.
Thank you.
All righty. 304-345-5858. Hey, this is Mike Agnello. It is Ask the Expert, and the expert is Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey. Sleep apnea, TMJ. Maybe 100 million plus in America suffering from sleep disorders. I think it might be a good day to call in and get your question answered. Let's take a break and be back. This is WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
WCHS! Mattress Warehouse is celebrating the grand opening of their newest locations with tremendous savings everywhere. Like this special purchase Sealy Plush was $9.99, now just $3.99 queen set. Nobody sells Sealy for less. Starting as low as $99 each piece, sold in sets, just in time for back to school. Plus, at Mattress Warehouse, get 0% financing up to 4 years and free delivery. The grand opening sale is your chance to save big on a great night's sleep. Hurry in today. Ends Monday at Mattress Warehouse.
It's Pew Furniture's August clearance. We're offering additional markdowns on all in-stock, handcrafted sofa groups. There's more than 200 to choose from. Plus, all of our leather sofas, sectional sofas, reclining sofas, and sleeper sofas. Futon sofas, too. We have recliners in all sizes for all budgets. Sale price as low as $2.99. Our selection of solid wood bedrooms, nursery furniture, and kids' furniture is huge, and everything is clearance priced. And our loading dock sale is going strong with lots of fantastic deals on closeout merchandise, surplus stock, scratch and dent, and unclaimed layaways. And no reasonable offer if used on hundreds of one-of-a-kind items. In our mattress specials, Serta Perfect Sleeper Queen Mattress for $2.99. Nobody in the country has a better deal than that.
At Pew Furniture Warehouse Showrooms, 1320 Smith Street in Charleston's Furniture District. All prices are met at pewfurniture.net.
Mixed martial arts returns to the Charleston Civic Center August 25th. Butch Hines, Mardi Gras Casino and Resort, and 58 WCHS present Reality Cage Combat. There's nothing like the heart-pounding, bone-crushing action of MMA. On August 25th, you'll get another chance to experience it up close and personal. Get tickets now at the Civic Center box office and all Ticketmaster outlets. Fight card includes Wes Lane, Ryan Shank, and Matt Garrettson. Plus, Brandon Hinkle returns fighting in the main event. Also, meet UFC Hall of Famer and former UFC heavyweight champion Mark Coleman at the Autograph booth. Post-fight party at Adelphia Sports Bar and Grill, 218 Capitol Street. Reality Cage Combat returns to the Charleston Civic Center on Saturday, August 25th. Tickets on sale now at the Civic Center box office and all Ticketmaster outlets. Reality Cage Combat. Brought to you by Butch Hiles Promotions, Mardi Gras Casino and Resort, and 58 WCHS.
Enjoy the 4th Annual Sports Fest now through Sunday at Magic Island and Haddad Riverfront Park in Charleston. Professional competitors from around the country will participate in jet ski racing, volleyball tournaments, and a Fireman's Combat Challenge. The YMCA will host a corporate volleyball competition, so round up your co-workers and join the fun. Sports Fest is a free event presented by the Charleston Convention and Visitors Bureau. Visit charlestonwv.com for more information. West Virginia, wild and wonderful.
Sound familiar? This could be a sign of the life-threatening condition called sleep apnea. 9 out of 10 sleep apnea sufferers aren't aware they have it, but left untreated, sleep apnea can increase your risk of high blood pressure and other cardiovascular disease, diabetes, memory problems, weight gain, impotency, headaches, and more. There's a solution at the Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center. If you or someone you love is suffering, call Dr. Bailey today, 877-757-7428. That's 877-757-7428.
Do you suffer from lingering face or jaw pain, headaches, popping or clicking of the jaw? You may be suffering from TMJ disorder, but there is no need to suffer. You have Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey here for you. Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey's state-of-the-art sleep and TMJ treatment center is located in Tays Valley. Get relief from TMJ pain and regain your quality of life. Call Dr. Bailey today, 877-757-7428, 877-757-7428.
Hey, welcome back. It is Ask the Expert. This is Mike Agnello, Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, and Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center. And we do have a call. If you'd like your question answered, it's a good time to call, 345-5858. And let's go to the phone. And Rocky, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What can we do for you today?
I was calling in. I've got a friend that has been sent to get tested for sleep apnea several times by his physician, but he continues to skip out on going into the facility to get tested. Is there any other way to diagnose someone instead of, in place of going to a facility?
Yes, there is, Rocky. There is a thing called home sleep testing, and I do home sleep testing in my office. I have some people who refuse to go to the sleep center for whatever reason, and we do home sleep testing, and it is graded by a board-certified physician, Dr. Stulch. She was here with me one time, but she interprets the sleep study, so that's for the person who just refuses to go.
Okay. How economical is that for somebody to go through that?
Well, it is very economical in ways, and insurance companies in the future will really be pushing more of this to happen because it is much more economical, and insurance companies do cover home sleep studies for the most part. So In the future, you will see it changes this as time goes by.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the advice.
I hope that answered your question.
Okay, Rocky, thank you much. And, man, the calls are kind of lining up here. We'll keep going to the phones. And good morning, David.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Good stuff. What's going on?
Well, I just happened to be listening to the radio, and I heard Dr. Bailey on the radio and wanted to call in and say hello. This is David Miller, Dr. Bailey.
Well, hey, David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Well, just so everybody knows, David is one of my patients who suffers from sleep apnea and had successful treatment. How's it going for you, David?
Well, I've lost 40 pounds this year since I started my sleep apnea device.
Wow, incredible.
My wife is much happier, I'll put it that way. She's got a full night's sleep, for one. And I'm convinced... 2 weeks ago, last Tuesday, I had a total hip replacement by Dr. Manny Molina, and I was out of the hospital the same day. I'm going through physical therapy. I have all kinds of energy. I'm having no problems, and I know it's got to be related. He told me he's never seen a patient recuperate this fast from surgery, and I think it's all the oxygen my body's now receiving that I wasn't getting in the past.
Well, that is just a great story. And, you know, David, I think what you really bring home, this is an entire quality of life issue at many levels. I mean, your ability to heal, certainly all your recuperative powers, you know, your relationship with your wife and the snoring, just so many things are affected. I guess I don't think most people really stop and think how much is affected by this. And when you say you dropped 40 pounds, isn't that a world of difference?
Oh, my gosh. I'm a different person. I really am. And now my wife grinds her teeth, and I have to be talking to Dr. Bailey and told her about that. And I got Pam to come in the office, and now she's going to get tested for sleep apnea so she can get some rest. She's having trouble sleeping. And once she saw the results from me and how easy it is, you sleep with this machine at the house, it's just common sense to have this tested.
Well, that is just an absolute great story. And, you know, David, not so much maybe on the sleep apnea, but I dropped recently 40 pounds, and it really changes your life. It really does.
Yes.
Well, David, thank you so much for the call. I'm glad you were listening and shared your story with everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey.
Oh, thank you, David, for calling in. And, you know, when I just wanted to clarify a little bit, David said sleep with a machine at the house. Rocky, he did the home sleep study that was graded by the board certified. He did not go to an in-house sleep study. So he was referring to the home sleep study machine as opposed to the CPAP machine. He's wearing an oral appliance to keep him from snoring and opening up that airway, giving him that vital oxygen.
That's great. 304-345-5858. And as the calls come in, we'll certainly keep taking care of those. And Jacob, your turn on Ask the Expert.
Yes, how are you doing, Mike?
Good morning.
Bailey?
Very good, thank you.
Great. Doctor, I had a question regarding TMJ, and specifically, I was wondering what your opinion is for somebody with TMJ taking maybe a low dosage of a benzo, such as Ativan or Klonopin or something of that nature. Is that a wise course of action or not?
Okay, is it used? The Klonopin is not used to treat the TMD disorder, is it? Why the Klonopin or the other medication?
I guess as I understand it, of course, both of those medications act as muscle relaxers, and of course, just day-to-day stress and tension can cause tightness and soreness in the TMJ. And I guess the logic behind it is those medications would kind of mitigate some of that in terms of reducing your stress and your tension, and that's kind of the logic behind that course of action as it's been explained to me.
Well, there's a couple of things I just wanted to share with you on this, David. If you are a sleep-breathing disorder patient and you take a muscle relaxer, it makes the muscles in the throat relax even more, so it cuts off your oxygen even more. So you may get rid of the tension, the muscle spasm, but if at night, if you have a sleep-breathing disorder and it hasn't been investigated, then you do more harm. But now, as far as treating the TMD, we always look at treating the whole package so that we can make it well. as opposed to putting a Band-Aid on it, which I kind of think these muscle relaxers, if you're not looking at, what is wrong with the whole head and neck area, and we look at whole body, then you're actually just putting a Band-Aid on it when you should be treating the whole system. So that's just my personal opinion. I would be very hesitant just to take muscle relaxants if everything hadn't been investigated very well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jacob, thank you so much. Really good calls, and about lots of people, I think, making a road trying to get to the same place. But I think unless this is a specialty. I think Dr. Jeannie K. I think if we really think about this is a very much a specialty, something that you spent a lot of time on, and the correlation between TMJ, sleep disorders, certainly in the amount of people that are affected. And with TMJ, and sleep disorder, I think, would you like to really just encourage people, if you're having some doubts about your health, about things that are happening to you and these symptomatic things, come in and see you, at least get an evaluation.
I do consultations all the time, and I review sleep studies and a comprehensive, and patients always say, well, no one's ever explained all of that to me. So I try and do a very thorough job. They may not come back for me to treat them, but at least I get you pointed in the right direction so that you can gain health.
I'm here with Dr. Jeannie Bakaley. It is Ask the Expert, and it's your turn to call. Get your questions answered, and today they're all free, just today. 304-345-5858. There was, what's some of the causes of, let's say, TMJ, this disorder? Something that's you're born with? Is it in the genes, or is it maybe our stresses of life? What are all the things?
Well, it's funny when you say, is it something you're born with? Actually, it can be, because I want you to do a visual with me. The baby is upside down in the birth canal, and when the baby comes out, I don't know what God was thinking when he thought about that, but, that's coming out a little tiny entrance there with a lot of pressure. And children should be adjusted almost at birth, because if they're not, then that TMJ disorder starts at birth. But sometimes it's as you get older. If you fall and you hit your chin, like every TMD patient I see, the majority of them, if I look, they have a little scar underneath their chin where they fell and hit.
Right.
And that, trauma is a big portion. So birth and trauma, and then out of balance bite. If your bite doesn't touch just right, as in people have a real receded chin or that real prognathic bulldog look, it's very stressful on the muscles and the bones and the jaw joints.
So all the above, in a sense, and the best way to do it, get a consultation. At least, come to your office. A lot of things can be alleviated, and maybe if it's not that, well, at least now a pathway to go for treatment, if it's even just eliminating all the above.
Correct. And, one big thing is if your jaw joint makes noise. If you pop, you click, you crack, you pop, you click, you crack. That's not normal, folks.
So WD-40 is not going to help that.
Absolutely not. And I always tell patients when they come in for a consultation, I said, when it pops and clicks, your jaw joint is dislocated. Now, if your knee was dislocated, would you get your knee treated if it was dislocated? But for some reason, if it's not hurting bad or whatever, they just go ahead and pop and click and pop and click. But it actually needs treatment.
I'm here with Dr. Jeannie Bakaley, and it's the Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center. And the phone number here, very simple, 304-345-5858. And if you'd like to call Dr. Jeannie K. at her office, maybe for a consultation, maybe to find out, hey, what's going on in my life, that number is 304-757-7428. That's 757-7428. What about, I know there's, you talk about your oral device getting so many people off the more evasive CPAPs, and I've heard those things really work well for some, but I've heard others really have some issues with that. And one of the calls, I think, brought that to light, that it doesn't matter where you're at in that process, how much pressure, how severe. It seems like this oral device can pretty much help, 80, 90% of the people.
Yes. And the one thing about, when you wear a CPAP is a machine, for people who don't know, that forces air into your lungs. So it's a rhythmic puff, puff, and you wear a mask around your face or your nose or both. And with that pressure, you have to look at the pounds of pressure it takes to push the tissue open, the back of the throat. And sometimes it's a tremendous amount of force with that machine. And I have some patients who can't tolerate. For instance, I have a patient, his was on 25 pounds.
Really?
And,
that
you know,
sounds, wow, you can inflate a tire, man.
Inflate a tire is my term.
That's a lot of pressure. But because of that's what it took to open up those airways? Is that?
Yes, big guy, big muscles. But when you put the oral appliance in, if you can reduce that pressure down to a much more reasonable so that it's not inflating, it makes it much more comfortable for the patient to tolerate.
And not that unusual to have both these used at the same time, your CPAP and the oral insert, to work together for the betterment of the patient.
Yes, especially if they are very severe. But the nice thing about it is the way we design these, if they travel a lot, because I have a lot of traveling people hike, people fly, you can leave the CPAP at home and take your oral appliance. It disconnects from the unit, and then you have your backup. You travel very small, and you don't go through the airport inspectors. When you do a CPAP, you have to carry it, and it has to be inspected at the airport. So the oral appliance is a really good combo for those severe patients and travelers.
I'm here with Dr. Ginny K. Bailey, and again, you might be one of those 20% that are hit by sleep disorder, and I hope you're not one of the 80% that don't even know about it. You're waking up with headaches, you're having all these different things happen, or snoring. Oh, everybody snores. Oh, my father snored. And we make a million excuses why snoring is normal. But if you're not breathing for long amounts of times, 20, 30 seconds, even up to a minute, that oxygen is certainly you're being deprived of that. And, when you said that earlier, doctor, I was kind of taken back. With those more severe cases, you're doing damage every day.
Yeah. I mean, if you're supposed to sleep 8 hours on the average a night, so for 8 hours without oxygen, that's significant.
I'm here again, Dr. Ginny K. Bailey, and we'll be taking your calls. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with Ask the Expert, Dr. Ginny K. Bailey on WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
WCHS! I'll bet you have all sorts of old jewelry sitting around your house. How about all those broken things you can't even wear anymore? Turn your gold and silver into cash. The Gold Experts are coming back this weekend. They'll be at the Hampton Inn downtown Charleston next to the Civic Center, and the Hampton Inn at the Barbersville Mall exit next to Cracker Barrel, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 5. Believe me, they pay the best prices for your items. This is your chance. And for those of you who've been thinking about sending your stuff into that mail-in place, are you crazy? How do you know if they'll pay you for everything you send in? The Gold Experts will pay more than those mail-in places. They will pay more than pawn shops. They will even pay more than jewelry stores. Just listen to what Beth said at our last Charleston show.
I sent my gold to a mail-in place and they only offered me $50. I had them send it all back and I took it to the Gold Experts. They looked through everything right in front of me and paid me $431 for the same gold.
Gold is at a record high. Dig up that gold and silver and find out for yourself at the Hampton Inn downtown Charleston, Virginia Street next to the Civic Center, and at the Hampton Inn Barbersville Mall exit next to Cracker Barrel, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 5.
Around the corner, around the country, at work or play, we're on your way, the convenience stores of Speedway.
Nobody but Speedway has the Speedy Rewards Card. It's fast, free, and easy, and you earn points every time you shop at Speedway. Good for free gas, merchandise, and more. With the Speedy Rewards Card, you're automatically enrolled in Speedy Rewards clubs, like our beverage club, where your 7th beverage is always free. And now, using your Speedy Rewards Card just got more rewarding, because all during the month of August,
you get double Speedy Rewards points on all food and merchandise purchases at Speedway.
That's right, double Speedy Rewards points.
Every time you use your Speedy Rewards Card in August,
you'll get double Speedy Rewards points on all food and merchandise purchases at Speedway.
You got my word on it.
And now, all during the month of August, visit your local Speedway to stock up on Red Bull and enter for a chance to play around with PGA star Ricky Fowler, exclusively at Speedway.
We're on your way, the convenience stores of Speedway.
They should, but they don't. Rock Branch Community Bank reminds you that children don't always watch out for cars, particularly before and after school. Watch for children on foot and on bicycles. Join the Back to School Safety Brigade. Rock Branch Community Bank wants this to be the most successful, safest school year ever, and it will be if you'll help. This message a public service of Rock Branch Community Bank. Member FDIC.
School's back August 17th. Time to think safety. This is Lieutenant Sean Williams from the Charleston Police Department. School days can be hectic for kids, families, and drivers, so be aware of children walking to school or standing at the bus stop. Obey school zone speed limits. Never pass or pull close behind a stopped school bus. And parents, teach your kids safe bus and school practices. Talk to your school or call us for more back-to-school safety information. We'll be watching, will you? A message from the Metro Valley Highway Safety Program.
Hey, welcome back. It is Ask the Expert. I'm Mike Agnello along with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, and she has the Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center. And you know what? Sleep apnea could be affecting you. We were having a nice conversation off air, and let me give out the phone number in case you need your questions answered. It's 304-345-5858. Doctor, a startling number. You always surprise me with things, but 20% of all people may be affected with sleep apnea, and that's a severe issue of quality of life. But 28% of truck drivers, that's pretty startling when these guys are on the road with those big rigs going down. I mean, that's got to be a great concern, that kind of number.
It's 28% of the commercial truck drivers have obstructive sleep apnea. So they have really come to the forefront because, people who have this fall asleep at the wheel. And they have now made truck drivers, that you have a certain hour that you have to sleep, and they have to log that.
Right.
But, from a truck driver standpoint, how are you going to plug in your CPAP? You have to, when you do take your break, put on your CPAP. If 28% have them, so every truck you go by that's pulled off on the side of the road taking their little break there, they're probably a large percentage hooked up. But oral appliances work very well for them because then they don't have to worry about plugging in the CPAP.
Well, and I know CPAP is a very recognized treatment, but I'm going to tell you, just listening to you and trying to learn as we go, as our listeners do, to me, there's just that forcing the air back there. I know you have to, but according to the severity of case, boy, those pressures seem a bit troubling for me. You're getting up to 18, 20 pounds, and you said that 25 pounds of pressure. Yow.
And it's not only the pressure. There's about, and this is, I hate to keep giving percentages, but, I'm just like one of those number kind of people. 54% to 50% can't wear a CPAP. So, I just say, please send me the people who can't wear their CPAP. Those are the ones I can help.
Sure.
If you wear your CPAP, it's the gold standard. You love it, wonderful. But the other 50% that aren't getting their oxygen, that's the ones I want to help.
And we were talking before we broke the last segment, but it's about quality of life. I mean, how many things this affects. And maybe you don't realize that over the years, maybe your capacity is so diminished in your health, you're maybe gaining that weight, no energy, kind of slow to get started at work, walking in with that kind of fog, until you have your couple cups of coffee. And even then, feeling a little spacey. I mean, all of this, all these issues of your health profile and how alert you are, all can be maybe tracked back to sleep apnea.
And another one we didn't talk about is acid reflux. So, Jacob, when you ask about the muscle relaxants, when patients come to see me and I see that they are on some kind of medication, as in Nexium or whatever, for acid reflux, that's the Band-Aid. So I start wondering, why do these people have acid reflux? Is it a more serious, life-threatening thing like breathing disorders? Because with the Nexium, you're putting a Band-Aid over it. They still are not getting their oxygen. They may not have acid reflux, but people have acid reflux for a reason.
That's a great point because, as a matter of fact, several years ago I did. And bad at times, really so how to wake you up, that burning, and you're literally woken up out of a sleep with the burn. Well, I went to the doctor, and of course the Nexium was prescribed, and it certainly helped. But one of my other issue is I weighed about, I'm not going to say, but I was really heavy, and not eating right. Well, like I was telling your caller, I dropped about 40 pounds and ate a lot different. I don't have to take Nexium anymore. I'm doing the right things. And again, you're right. It was a Band-Aid on a problem, but the problem was my eating habits and my severe overweightness. That was the issue. And when I dealt with that, hey, no more Nexium.
Yes, but you could have at that time had obstructive sleep apnea. And the Nexium C is, anytime you're having that acid reflux, the diaphragm is contracting. You're doing the CPR move, the Heimlich maneuver. And the body's doing that to push open your airway. Because when you do a Heimlich maneuver, you go, huh, if somebody's choking. And that's what the body's doing to force that airway open, which pushes the acid up. So...
Well, so much. Again, it's my day of discovery. I'm so happy to be the host here because I'm telling you, it's so much of this I see as part of sleep apnea now. It's so many of our sleep disorders. You know, and I heard something. I don't know how true it is. And by the way, let me give out the number. It's 304-345-5858. Kind of a startling statistic, but maybe not. We're one of the top 3 states of obesity. Horrible rates. Children's obesity going through the roof, all pointing to probably increased sleep disorders. But Charleston being named one of the number 1 cities in America in the incidence for these sleep issues, and not getting good sleep, not getting enough sleep. So these sleep disorders seem to be very prevalent, not only in our state but particularly right in our area.
Yes, and everybody says, does it cause being overweight, or did the overweight cause it? Is the chicken before the egg or the egg before the chicken? It's just important to realize that if you do have the breathing disorder, it could cause the weight gain because there's a hormone released in the stomach that causes you to get fat if you have obstructive sleep apnea.
So if you have sleep apnea, now your body, as a reaction or result of this disorder, is actually producing a hormone that increases obesity.
Yes. But, one thing to realize, too, is skinny people, and probably 40% of the people in my practice.
I don't like skinny people, but go ahead. No.
But they have sleep apnea, so you don't have to be overweight. So I have a large percentage of my practice that they are not overweight.
Well, if you need your questions answered, and this is a good time, it's free today, 304-345-5858. And maybe just to take this right on, and I think maybe most people might be shying away out of cost, but from what I'm hearing from you, most of this, if not all of it, most insurance companies do provide consultation, analysis. If they come to you, most insurance companies are going to cover this.
60 to 80% of the cost is usually covered by the insurance company.
And that's, and I think that's encouraging. I think most people maybe might hold back for some reason, but it would be the best few dollars they ever invested. When I heard David call it in before, his life had changed. And then he had to go through another procedure, a surgical procedure, and now he's a hip replacement. Now he's healing better than ever. Even his doctor was surprised because his health is better. He's getting the oxygen. He's dropped 40 pounds. I'm sure, when that happens, I think the little domino effect happens also. I think you start eating a little better because you want, now you've got the ball going down the hill. You want to, you want to make that continue. And when you're feeling good, I think it's easy to keep that going. I think, like all things human, making the decision to do something about it first. And I'm sure you've talked to people, doctor, that you finally got them in your office, and then they were so happy they finally got there.
Really, if you're a pain patient, what is it worth to you to get out of pain? If you need your vital oxygen and you don't want to wake up with a headache, what is that worth to you?
You talked about headaches, and you're making me think I need to come in for that evaluation, all jokes aside, because I've had that happen, not a lot, a couple of times, but in the back of the neck area, even waking up with that achiness, that kind of headache, and for no particular reason. I always say, well, I slept on it wrong. That's the usual excuse we give ourselves. Oh, I had a little kink. I had my head turned up by the pillow wrong. But what you're saying is this possibly can be sleep apnea.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to look at the whole body. I was talking to him before. Any dentist can treat with oral appliance. Any dentist can treat TMJ. You just need to have someone who is very interested in it and who's taken the training, because I have spent 30 years trying to, I call it chase the rabbit. So I really have a great interest in studying, because, inquiring minds want to know what caused it, how do you make it better. So anybody can treat it, but just make sure that you have someone who has been trained very well and look at the best interest.
Well, this is obvious your passion, and then the correlation of so many other things with the TMJ, other health-related issues. You can tell when you've been around it a long time, you have lots of stories you've seen, lots of success stories. And then sometimes I'm sure a lot of code you had to crack too, like trying to identify what's going on in this patient. But of course, by the volume of people you see, that experience level, that can't be replaced just because other dentists do it. I mean, this is obviously a passion of yours that you've been, like you said, chasing the rabbit for a long time.
Absolutely. It's been 30 years. I took a fascination in it a long time ago. And, sleep came to the forefront in the last 10 years, last 15.
Mm-hmm.
They see how it affects overall health. So it kind of exploded in the medical and dental world. But, it's a great piece of the puzzle that we finally, have put it all together to find out how do you get to that overall better health.
We'll take our final break and still a few minutes for your call at 304-345-5858. This is WCHS, the voice of Charleston.
WCHS. Hi, I'm attorney Jeffrey Jones. My law firm focuses specifically on helping people try to solve their IRS tax problems. Lately, so many new, out-of-state companies are popping up, claiming that if you send them money, they can resolve your IRS problems. Well, what happens if they don't? Do you hire an attorney? Maybe you should start with a local attorney that's handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in West Virginia. When you hire the law offices of Jeffrey T. Jones, you won't be speaking long distance or sending money to some out-of-town pitch man. You'll meet with me at my office in Charleston. Your first visit is completely free and confidential, and I'll tell you on the spot exactly how much it'll cost. So if you're hiring a company to resolve your IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, check their reputation first. Then call me, Jeffrey Jones, at 304-345-3400. That's 304-345-3400, or go to jeffreytjones.com. If you're a West Virginia resident and you have an IRS problem, hire a West Virginia attorney. Hire me, Jeffrey Jones.
It is Ask the Expert on WCHS with Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, and she has the Sleep and TMJ Treatment Center, Tays Valley. And let me give out that number, too, in case you'd like to call her and maybe set up an appointment and just make sure, this may be the cause of, and then you can fill in the blank. So many things that are happening in your health profile, in your life, even into depression and other things, and overweight and just acid reflux. I mean, the list is very long. The possible outcomes of sleep apnea. Let me give out her number, 304-757-7428. That's 304-757-7428. Doctor, so many things can be attributed to sleep apnea. You even folded in, when we were talking before you were going through this long list, depression even. Just not having the right amount of oxygen, being tired, maybe having a sense of being overwhelmed. I mean, this all folds into the profile, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I look at health histories, and doctors have a lot of paperwork to do, and we have to gather a lot of information. But when I look at a health history and people check off what do they have, there are 5 things that red flag me on conditions like breathing disorders. If I look and see if they have heart disease or have had stroke, if they have high blood pressure, diabetes, if they have not just diabetes, arthritis, those are all red flags for me. Arthritis. So when I see any of those categories, I know I need to dig just a little bit deeper and find out what's causing it.
So even, you're talking really the whole regenerative process in the body, and now even going down to arthritis, not having enough oxygen has so many ramifications to it.
Yes. But, when I'm looking at the arthritis, sometimes, too, you said that, you've cut back on your bread and your pasta and whatever. When I look at that patient and I wonder, are they celiac patients? Because people who have arthritis or Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome, they're gluten intolerant. So I'm always looking at that, but they also have a breathing disorder in a large percent of the patients. So, I'm always looking what's driving the boat.
Could that number, I'm just asking you to tap into 30 years of watching this stuff. The 20% number that I still think is phenomenal of people, adults in America that are pretty much sure have some level of sleep disorder, seems to me, the way you're talking and all the effects of, that number really could be higher.
No, it definitely could be higher. And, I love seeing children because if I can catch a child at a very, very early age and change the position of the bones or the teeth that could cause this down the road, or they could have it at a very early age. I love treating people when they're young. Catch it early. Don't wait till they get to be our age where you already have these other disease processes going on. So early is best.
So even children having some issues, they could be brought in, at least looked at, and have a consultation with you. I know kids don't sleep well. Some do, some don't. But so many times we might just fluff that off as, that's just kids. And it could be an onset of a disorder.
Yes. And, parents, please take heed. The bedroom is made not for children, but it's made for sex and it's made for sleep. And children in today's society and adults, they keep the TV on, they got the radio going. My child goes to bed with an iPad, but it is off by a certain time. They have their phone with them, so that needs to be taken away at about 9 o'clock at night, and kids need their 9 hours of sleep.
I don't think anything else would be more important to close the program out with. Let the bedroom be for the sleep. Like you said, the TVs and the computers and, boy, all the distractions and noise and radio. We really have to learn to live without the noise, don't we?
Yes, and if your dog is snoring in your bedroom, Rick, the dog is disturbing your sleep. So, pets that make noise at night also disturb you.
Well, I think I always learn a lot every time I do this program. Dr. Jeannie K. Bailey, thank you so much today. And thank you for all the calls. There were a lot of great calls today and pretty good questions asked. If you want to call her at her office, you better find out about you. It's 304-757-7428. This is Mike Agnello. Glad you joined us today. Hoppy Kercheval coming up on WCHS, the voice of Charleston.